Well, the short answer to that one is both. Of course, there are fundamental clashes, and we are witnessing some of those in the world right now. How much of those clashes are fundamentally religious, or punning fundamentalistically religious, is another question. Come back to that momentarily. I rather like Hick's idea in his later work that God is known by many names, and that the various world religions are all various local attempts to describe and get at and name and establish a relationship with God, whoever or whatever the proper name and proper description might be. That is, of course, very, very inclusive. It makes me think of the Baha'i people and their religion that has committed itself to that very specifically. That, of course, is just outright in the face of what is said by many, many religious practitioners who want to say, no, we and the Muslims are not just striving to worship the same God, but we happen to call him by different names. We're worshiping God, and they're a bunch of heathens, and they're saying we're worshiping Allah, and they're a bunch of heathens. And so for large numbers of Christians and for large numbers of Muslims, there's a real conflict going on. But is that a real conflict between the Christian religion at its core and Islam at its core? I don't think so, because I find lots of Christians who are very, very comfortable with what Hick has to say. And I find lots of Christians who have a great deal in common with what some of our Islamic brothers and sisters have to say. I was watching a wonderful video the other day of a young girl who's saying, well, it's obvious why Allah created so many different tribes. It was so that we would have the opportunity to get to know people who were different and come to love each other. Now, that could be preached from the pulpit of St. Paul's Episcopal Church on any Sunday morning, changing the vocabulary appropriately, and we could all get together and sing Kumbaya. So there are elements out there in the soup of religions that are in the world that favor that Hickeyan view, and there are elements that favor that take no prisoners, fight to the death, kill the infidel view. I'm forever hopeful, given a world enough in time and we don't blow all of ourselves up completely before we have a chance to make it happen. I see no good reason why, as the scale of culture expands, as we get to know one another better and better, that those things cannot in time be worked out. And we can still preserve the idiosyncrasies and the local traditions. The Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, has done a wonderful job of accepting indigenous traditions and lore into their practice. So that if you go to a Roman Catholic church in Brazil and if you go to a Roman Catholic church in Singapore, they're different, but they're not, if you get my drift. They are, using another notion we've talked about before, it all comes together under what Wittgenstein called a family resemblance. And it isn't that there's one characteristic that they all have. It's a vast network of characteristics that they all share a distribution of. And yet, they're all Catholic, but they're different.